Today, we are going to study about liberal nationalism. Let us see what do you mean by liberal nationalism. So, last few classes, we were dealing with nationalism, the meaning of the term nationalism, and how the spirit of nationalism was growing among the people of Europe. Now, the ideas of national unity in early 19th century Europe were closely allied to the ideology of liberalism. So, we learned nationalism as a feeling of cultural identity. That is, culturally, everybody is similar, identical. Then, language also major. If the language of the people living in a particular place is same, then naturally you are having a binding towards each other, and that will create a feeling of nationalism. So along with the cultural identity, along with other similar traits and behavior, ideology of liberalism too created a feeling of nationalism. Let us see how. That is, liberalism means freedom. So the quest for getting freedom united the people having similar ideology, similar culture, similar language, etc. People who are living in a particular place, who are having similar culture, who are having similar language, who are having a similar bondage towards each other. They all wanted to become free from the autocracy, from the dictatorship. So the ideology of liberalism too created a desire for freedom, or it increased the feeling of nationalism. The term liberalism came from the Latin word liber. The meaning of the word liber is free. For the new middle classes, liberalism stood for freedom for the individual and equality of all before law. So the concept of liberalism was different for different group of people. For the middle class people, like the industrial working class people, the intellectuals and all, for them liberalism means the freedom for the individual. There is freedom to write the newspaper article, freedom to tell their opinion, then equality between men and women, equality among all the classes of people. So that is what liberalism meant for new classes, new middle class people. The term liberalism was meant differently for different classes of people. So here mentioning about middle class is given. For the middle class people, for the working class people, liberalism meant freedom for the individual. That is, freedom from the autocracy, freedom from the dictatorship, then freedom to write any articles, freedom to form the political party, freedom to form association. So that is what freedom meant for them, and all should be equal. Now politically, if you take liberalism, the meaning of liberalism is the government of consent, government by consent. That means if you are making a government with the agreement of everyone, if everybody in a country, in a territory, in a place are accepting a form of government apart from the dictatorship, apart from the authoritarian regime, apart from autocracy, that is what we call liberalism, political liberalism. That is, if the majority of the people are supporting a government, that means you are politically liberal. Now, after French Revolution, liberalism stood for the end of autocracy. That is, French Revolution gave inspiration for many people around different countries in Europe. So people viewed liberalism as the end of autocracy, then on end of clerical privileges. So autocracy meaning, that is if the power is concentrated in single hand, that is autocracy, and clerical privileges means the privileges enjoyed by nobles or aristocrats, the special rights enjoyed by nobles or the aristocrats. That is what we call clerical privileges, special rights enjoyed by them. So end of autocracy, end of clerical privileges. They needed a written constitution and they needed a representative government like democracy. So that is what was the demand for the liberals. And 19th century liberals, so this was the concept in 18th century. Now in 19th century, They also stress the importance of private property. That means nobody should take the property of individuals. Everybody should have the right to own property. Now, when we talk about equality, nobody argued for universal adult franchise. That was lacking. So, universal adult franchise means everybody, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, property, etc., if you are having equal voting right, that is universal suffrage. But nobody stressed for universal suffrage, universal adult franchise. So France viewed the first political experiment of liberal democracy. So what is the meaning of this sentence? That is, in France, the urge for, the quest for, the desire for liberalism originated first. That is French Revolution. A revolution started in France for the first time. That is, a revolution occurred in France only. A widespread revolution occurred in France only by that time. None of the countries had a revolution like that of France. So there the experiment of liberal democracy had done. Okay. So even though liberal democracy was there, even though it became a republic, but still the right to vote was not extended to everyone. Those who had property had the voting right. Only men were allowed to vote. So men without property and all women were excluded from political rights. So even though they had a republic or a democratic form of government. When Jacobins were ruling, they gave all adult males the voting right. But afterwards, again, they removed such provision and gave voting right only to the property class. Even the Napoleon even, he did not give voting right to women, and she was reduced to the status of a minor. Minor means an inferior one. Okay, and she has to obey father and husband. She has to be an inferior to male. Throughout the 19th and 20th century, women and non-propertied men organized opposition movements demanding equal political rights. So none of them were getting the voting right, and they were all demanding equal political right. So this is what we call political liberalism. So question can be asked, what do you mean by the political liberalism in 18th century and 19th century, and also for middle class, what do you mean by liberalism? Question can be asked. This, I think 5 points easily you will get from here. Then in economic sphere, in economics, what do you mean by liberalism? In economics, liberalism stood for freedom of markets and abolition of state-imposed restrictions on the movement of goods and capital. That means freedom of market means no unnecessary control by the government. That is, you can sell good at a price which you are charging. Okay. Nobody should interfere that you should reduce the price or you should increase the price in that way. Government should not interfere or someone else should not interfere. So that is what we call freedom of market. Then for movement of goods also, if you are taking good from one area to other, you should freely take the goods. Okay, no unnecessary restrictions should come in between the movement of goods and capital. Capital means the raw materials, machineries, etc. So this was the main demand for the middle class people, the industrialist, business class people. Okay, freedom of markets and abolition of restrictions on the movement of goods and capital. It is without any tax, without other restriction, they should take goods and capital from one place to another. And in the markets too, if they want to sell a good at the price, at their own price, then they should have the freedom to do so. Now take the case of a German speaking region of 19th century. So here we are telling about the German speaking regions of the 19th century. We are not telling it is Germany because Germany was not created by the time. So German speaking areas, that is what here it is given an example. So with the rule of Napoleon, that is Napoleon started attacking European countries one by one. He did not rule them directly, but he appointed princes or other officials to rule those territories. So such territories were known as principalities. Principalities means the princes will be ruling the place. Okay, subdivision. subdivision of a state or of a kingdom. Okay, confederation of 39 states. German speaking confederation. Confederation means a very big unit, and it was divided into 39 states. Okay, German speaking confederation, it was divided into 39 states, and again 39 states will be divided into small kingdoms, and those small kingdoms were known as principalities, and each principality will be ruled by a prince. So that is what we call a principality. And these confederation, each confederation had their own currency, their own weight, their own measures, etc. And imagine a merchant is traveling from Hamburg to Nuremberg in the year 1833 to sell his good. Okay, two places in German speaking area, Hamburg and Nuremberg. Suppose one person is traveling or moving from Hamburg to Nuremberg, then he had to pass through 11 custom barriers. 11 custom barriers means 11 times he has to pay the fees or taxes and pay a custom duty of about 5% at each one of them. That is what here it is written over there. So 11 custom barriers he has to pass through, and every time he is passing through the custom barrier, he had to pay 5% of each of them. That is, what is your good and what value it has. Based on that, you have to pay the tax. And duties were, duties means the taxes were levied, were charged according to the weight or measurement of goods. So each region had its own system of weights and measures, and this involved time consuming calculation. That is, if merchant is traveling from one place to another, he has to spend a lot of time for calculating the duty, for calculating the tax, for calculating the fees and all. Okay, so it took a lot of time. The measure of cloth, for example, an elli. Elli means like our meter, centimeter, etc. It is a unit, okay, unit of meter of centimeter. That is what we called elli. So one elli means 54.7 centimeter of cloth in Frankfurt. Different types of measurement. Then in Mainz it is 55.1. In Nuremberg it is 65.6. That is, imagine 1 kg means that is 1,000 grams. So 1,000 grams in Gujarat, 1,000 grams in Maharashtra, 1,000 grams in Karnataka. In that way, different. Imagine that is everybody. As I told you now, as of now, every part of our country it is the same measurement. So imagine 1 kilogram is equal to 900 grams in Gujarat, 800 grams in Karnataka, 800 grams in Tamil Nadu. In that way, different. So it would be a loss. So same example is explained here. So an LE is equal to 54.7 in Frankfurt, 55.1 in Mainz, and 65.6 in Nuremberg. So each place had different type of measurement. So that is really difficult for them. That was not practical for them. So these were the obstacles or hindrances or restrictions to the economic exchange and growth. So what do you mean by economic exchange and growth? Then buying and selling. These were the hindrances, these were the obstacles, these were the restrictions for buying and selling. And it posed a great threat or danger to the new commercial classes. New commercial classes means the business class people. So imagine you are a businessman, you are traveling from one place to another. Then you have to pay taxes, you have to pay the fees, fines, everything. Then your good is not getting adequate value, then you are not able to measure them. So all these problems were there. So people felt that at least for buying and selling, we should have a unified area, an economic territory, an imaginary economic territory should be there, so that we can sell, we can buy our goods easily, at least economically. Okay, politically, it is not possible. Politically, it is divided into different kingdoms. It is divided into different principalities ruled by different rulers. But at least for buying and selling, make an economic territory. Okay. So for that purpose, at the initiative of Prussia, they formed a custom union called Zollverein. So Zollverein is a customs union. That means an economic territory. So you can become a member in Zollverein. And this Zollverein states will have one currency, one tax, one fees, etc. So whichever person is traveling through the Zollverein will contain majority of the German states. Okay. 39 confederation of state was written. So majority, number is not given here. So majority of the German states were the members of Zollverein. So whoever is traveling through Zollverein will have to pay only one time tax and only one currency will be there. One currency means currencies were reduced. Number is telling in the subsequent sentence. The customs union abolished the tariff barriers. Tariff means tax on trade, tax on import export. So that was abolished, that was banned, and reduced the number of currencies from over 30 to 2. I told one currency. So they reduced, they made less number of currencies. That means previously they had over 30 currencies, but now only 2 currencies. Okay, like Indian rupee for the entire Union of India, for all the states of India. That is official currency. Now dollar, American dollar for America, in that way. Then creation like euro for the entire Europe. Then creation of network of railways further stimulated mobility. Mobility means movement, harnessing economic interest to the national unification. So economically, first of all, economically they unified majority of the regions, and economical unification led to the political unification. Political unification led to national unification. Now development of transport and communication also strengthened national unification. Now easily people can move from one place to another. So that also binded the people together. So this also created the growth of nationalism. A wave of economic nationalism strengthened wider nationalist sentiments growing over the time. So because of economic nationalism, political nationalism became possible. And because of political nationalism, in the subsequent years, majority of the states were formed, or majority of the countries were formed, majority of the nations were formed based on the basis of common language, common culture, etc. And nationalistic spirit was growing day by day. People wanted a new form of government, that is a democratic form of government, which was based on a majority support government. Okay, that is they needed a representative government. Hopefully you understood. Thank you.